what we're going for, we're not going for the possible, the beyond possible. We're going for reasonable. We're going for what we can actually examine, what we can actually prove. And I think once you go down that road, I believe the verse I'm about ready to read starts becoming exactly what you would expect to be, and we'll talk about that. But let me read the verse, because we want to do this from the biblical text. We want to make sure that everybody knows this biblical text is accurate, and we're going to talk about how accurate it was as soon as I get done reading. Genesis 1, if you want to follow along. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth that was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made a firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, so the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, and herb that yields seed, and the fruit of the tree that yields according to its kind." It's important, kind. "Whose seed is in itself on the earth," and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb that seeds according to its kind, and the tree yields fruit whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God said that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. I wanted to include those because we're going to get into evolution here soon, maybe next time. But I wanted to bring those up because for 2,300 years since Aristotle, they concluded that the Earth was and the universe was what they called static state. It's always been here. That was Aristotle's assumption, and for 2,300 years it was pretty much the rule of thumb, that it's always been here. That the Bible, when it says in the beginning, it was wrong. There was no beginning. It was always here, static state. That's what Aristotle thought, and many after him thought the same thing. But in 1929, a guy by the name of Hubble came along, and he didn't look through his telescope. I think it was a radio telescope. But anyway, he found out that the universe was actually expanding. That was in the Bible as well. In many places it talks about God stretching out the heavens. But Hubble discovered that the universe was expanding. And not too many people liked that very much, and he had to go through different people confirming what he said. But finally it came down to Einstein and a guy by the name of Fred Hoyle. Two guys that were pretty much at the top of cosmology. Their opinions were pretty much considered valid. And both of them felt that the universe was a static state. It's always been here. It never started. It's just always been. And they came to Hubble, and they said, "Okay, we want to hear what you have to say, and we want to see what your evidence is." So Hubble showed it to him. Hubble was not a Christian. He was just observing what he sees. And both of them came to the conclusion that was the biggest mistake they had ever made since they'd been scientists, to consider that the universe could have been a static state. And Hubble was it's not Hubble, but Fred Hoyle was the one who actually came up with the term Big Bang. He said it derogatorily, but he was the one that came up with the idea of the Big Bang, that it had a start. And when you think about things that have a start, each one of us here had a start, right? We have a causal agent. It's called our parents, right? So anything that begins to exist has to have a cause, and it has to have a sufficient cause. The reason why I'm here was because my parents both had sets of DNA, and they put those two together, and here I am. Same with Jay, same everybody else sitting here. So you apply that to the universe, and since it did have a start, it's not here all the time. So now you make some assumptions, and the best assumption to come to is, well, it didn't just start of itself. Physics doesn't allow for matter, for example. Physics says that matter can't be the cause of its own existence.